Now, what starts with the letter C? Cookie starts with C. Let's think of other things that starts with C. Who cares about the other things? C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. C is for cookie, that's good enough for me. Oh, cookie, cookie, cookie starts with C. Oh!
Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. Now, we're all aware of Simon Belmont's second notorious adventure, and of the dreadful reputation that it's been carrying around for over 25 years like Dracula's Curse. Nerds worldwide despise it. Your crotchety-ass grandma curses it, and hell, even the angry video game nerd took his vengeance against Simon's Quest, as it was the very first game that he tore apart and jump-started his illustrious career. In 1987, the original Castlevania game was released for the NES to high acclaim. I was amongst these rabid fans, ready to suckle on some more Konami sustenance like Dracula feeds off of his victims. We didn't have to wait long for the next chapter, as the year was 1988, the year of the atypical sequel. Super Mario Bros. Released a sequel far different from its groundbreaking predecessor, as did The Legend of Zelda. At the time, these changes were welcome to gamers in search of something innovative and fresh, and it wasn't until even more sequels from these beloved franchises began to surface, emulating the original games rather than the successors, with major improvements added, that Volume 2 for both Mario and Zelda were later seen as and considered the bastard children of each respective franchise, with the gaming community ready to cast them off to the land of misfit toys. Castlevania 2 also falls under this category. Simon's Quest ditched the linear stage-driven vehicle that the original employed in favor of a more open world akin to the likes of adventure games such as Zelda and Metroid. I received Simon's Quest for Easter of '89 after having rented it several weeks earlier and making it through half of the game. I absolutely adored it despite how short and easy it was. The graphics were fantastic, the soundtrack possibly the best on the NES up to that point, and it was more Castlevania, even if it was drastically different than the first one. I had already played Zelda 2 by this point and was extremely pleased with it, so honestly, the stark contrasting differences between Castlevania 1 and 2 went pretty much into the apathy drawer of my mind. I couldn't give a shit. So when Rewind Mike approached me to help him out with his Konami series, I jumped at the chance to cover Simon's Quest, as I was looking for an excuse to revisit the classic Belmont adventure. I hadn't touched it in years. Surely my rose-colored glasses wouldn't deceive me, and the game would still hold up after all of this time. Sure it will. Well, let's see if that rings true. So right off the bat, the music in the first town rocks some serious balls. You definitely can't shit all over the soundtrack. It is exceptional. Simon from the onset can either head left or right into the overworld, returning to the town at any time. Again, the music for the overworld is astounding, and if you think it is good, just wait till you hear the nighttime rendition. Yep, we're all aware of this ominous message that types out across the screen as day transitions to night. The baddies really come to life after dark, so to speak, and increase in difficulty, often with double the stamina as their daytime counterparts. Enemies once defeated often leave behind hearts, which represent currency this time around, as you are able to purchase special weapons, items, and gems from villagers. Several of the townsfolk speak in broken English, sometimes offering vague information, and even clues that are downright fabrications. Hearts are also used to increase Simon's experience, as in a role-playing game, so there is some grinding to be had. Now, I usually don't mind grinding in role-playing games, but the grinding in Simon's Quest can be downright tedious as fuck. Not all enemies drop hearts, and if you lose all 3 lives that you begin with, when continuing, all hearts collected towards increasing Simon's experience to the next level are reset. Not only that, but the hearts cap out at 256. I was unaware of this, or had just completely forgotten it, but one night while grinding, I kept going back and forth, tearing through every skeleton, zombie, and merman that I could, and after a while of absolutely nothing happening, decided to check my subscreen to confirm that yes, the hearts do cap out at 256. I was not pleased. Now another gripe that I have is one that has been echoed throughout the ages, but one that needs to be addressed nonetheless. The cryptic puzzles. How the hell are you supposed to know to have the blue gem equipped while crouching to get beneath the lake? Or how about using the red gem to conjure the whirlwind? Thank God I had the internet back in 1989. Wait a minute. How the hell was I ever able to figure out these god-awful puzzles? Oh yeah, that's right. Nintendo Power. That damn periodical was a godsend, let me tell you. I swear that Nintendo games were made so difficult and so devoid of clues to push magazine sales. Hey, it worked. Another issue that I have is that the game recycles so many backgrounds that some areas look the same and make it very easy to get lost or confuse one area for another. Keeping track of the villages especially can be a hornet in the butthole, with most of them looking almost exactly the same as each other, barring some color swaps. The same can be said for the 5 mansions, which encapsulate the 5 precious pieces of Dracula's body. From the nefarious vampire's rib to his cock ring, make sure that Simon is always equipped with his wooden stake in hand. And speaking of the 5 mansions encountered throughout Transylvania, one of my biggest gripes with this game is that only 2 of them contain bosses. And pushover bosses at that. I mean, death is a staple in the Castlevania series, and his presence expected, but should he really be as easily beaten as a drunk quadriplegic hanging from a meat hook? Each mansion should have had an end boss, plain and simple. That was one of the parts that made the original Castlevania so damn cool. Which monster will be the end boss for this stage? Simon's Quest has not aged well. Even my heavy nostalgia for the game couldn't blind me from its numerous flaws, and I can honestly say that I didn't have a whole lot of fun going through this one again. Now I know that a lot of people still revere this game as one of the best, and even the best in the series, but I honestly can't say there's a whole lot to bring me back to this one again. The grinding is boring, the switching from day to night gets annoying, and the lack of bosses is extremely underwhelming. So how would I sum up Castlevania 2 now, after not playing it for a long time? Fuck it. In 1990, Technos Japan, the creators of the iconic Double Dragon series, released yet again another arcade beat-em-up entitled The Combatribes. This arcade features 3-player simultaneous play and takes place in a futuristic, dystopian New York against a ruthless gang hell-bent on overtaking and running the city. The game features Technos' archetypical graphical style, and the character sprites are instantly recognizable. In 1992, the game was ported to the Super Famicom and its North American counterpart, the Super Nintendo. The home port did make a few changes, such as the obvious omission of the ability to utilize a third player simultaneously. All 3 protagonists from the arcade are retained here, each with their own specific attributes to exploit when kicking the shit out of bad guys. You have Berserker.
Would you like some making buck Berserker?
A blonde-haired tough guy sporting a freaking awesome blue 80s denim outfit. Stylish, man. He's the most balanced character, boasting both speed and strength. Bulova, a big black dude decked out in an overly masculine yellow getup, who excels in strength, but moves like a snail on Quaaludes. And then there's Blitz, the most useless character in the game, decked out in fire truck red garb, laid out by his mama. He's the weakest of the 3, but boy is he fast. Yay! But the main thing that stands out about these 3 Combatribes is their immense size. These guys are freaking huge. Take Bulova for example, whose name is a combination of bull and lover, and you can see why. This hulking giant towers at 6'11". Can you imagine how big this guy's... yeah.
You're a smart motherfucker, that's right.
But wait, he only weighs 258 pounds. That doesn't seem right. Let's take a look at Berserker. He's even bigger, standing in at 7'1", but he only weighs 246 pounds. And this guy is buff. I'd say that the developers are about 100 pounds off on this guy. I mean, I'm 6'2" and weigh 220 pounds. There's no way this buff dude could be 11 inches taller than me, but only 26 pounds heavier. There's just no way. Maybe there was an error in the metric system conversion. The Super Famicom has Berserker listed at 98 kilograms. That's only 216 pounds by my count, and that's even less than me. Boy, did Technos fuck up on this one. But here's the real kicker. The heroes on the American version were changed from humans to cyborgs.
Why?
I don't know, Nancy, but it's pretty fucking stupid. You mean to tell me that a
cybernetic organism, living tissue over a metal endoskeleton,
weighs less than a human endowed with the same proportions? Horseshit. I guess Nintendo felt that people resorting to vigilantism to rescue New York from a gang of bloodthirsty, antisocial deviants was morally unacceptable, but cyborgs, devoid of any moral compass whatsoever,
fuck you, asshole,
are perfectly fine in the same position. Unless you've read the instruction booklet, you wouldn't even be aware of these inane changes. That's how stupid Nintendo's irresistible aficionado for meddling censorship is. And that's not even the half of it. We'll cover some more in just a bit here. So the Combatribes begins on the streets of New York, with each stage or act represented under a specific title. Each act is basically a large fighting arena where you pound on numerous baddies, before concluding with a showdown with the end boss and a few of his fellow cronies. Just like in the arcade version of Renegade. Wait a second, is that Jay Dubious from Dubious Gaming Online? I think it is! Even the Dolly Popka has made this observation when he covered the Combatribes.
Oh shit, it's Jay Dubious from Dubious Gaming Online. He made an appearance in this game. With his slab of lumber. Well, that's disturbing.
Uncle Dubes is one bad motherfucker, and he needs to be beaten down into a pool of blood. Well, in the Japanese version anyway. After each act, we're treated to a cutscene in which the fallen boss passes clues onto our protagonists in order to move on to the next stage. Notice a difference between the US and Japanese versions? Ah, Nintendo, how I hate you so. And check out this unnecessary change made to the US version. In the Japanese version, this establishment here is called Steak and Brew Burgers, with a neon sign in the window flashing the word coffee. Nintendo felt the need to censor this because, God knows, coffee is the source to the decline of Western civilization. Cyborgs prefer milkshakes, so the shop was renamed to the Steak and Shake. Bravo, Nintendo. Bravo. Don't worry, there's more. The second act places our cybernetic vigilantes in a Coney Island amusement park, chock full of killer clowns. The fire-breathing end boss is a Karnov wannabe, who deserves a good beating just for being a stereotypical ripoff. The other stages consist of a dance club full of roller derby chicks, a baseball stadium guarded by the living embodiment of the Cleveland Indians mascot himself, Chief Wahoo, and a high-rise building that includes a boss rush mode. This stage's name was naturally changed from the Slaughter Troops to the Demolition Troops, cause, you know.
Oh, won't somebody please think of the children?
On Nintendo, protecting us from the evils of art. They definitely know what's best for us, and they're gonna enforce their censorship to make sure that our lives are better. I mean, you can't argue with Nintendo. They're gonna censor whatever the hell they want. The Combatribes gives you some pretty nifty moves, such as the double head smash and a running attack. Unfortunately, there's not a jump attack available, and each of the three characters move as if they're bogged down, waist deep in mud. My favorite maneuvers are the ones that are implemented as your enemies lie on the ground, such as the foot swing and the always fun concrete kiss. The game is fairly challenging, equipping you with only a handful of credits that are shared between you and a partner. Good luck finishing the game in this manner, as the final boss alone will dissolve your credits like a flesh-eating bacteria. Thank God there's a 30 credits code. You're also awarded a 4-digit passcode at the conclusion of each act, which allows you to play a Street Fighter type one-on-one showdown. Each stage's code will unlock the baddies from that particular act to be used as playable characters. While this sounds like a pretty cool idea to increase replay value, it's actually pretty meh. Now I'm a sucker for Technos beat-em-ups, so I really dig this game. But if you don't share the same sentiment as I do, then you may have a vastly different opinion of this one. Like most games of this genre, the Combatribes is a lot of fun with a friend, so recruiting a buddy to play with is highly recommended. If you have any interest in this game, I suggest picking up a copy of the Super Famicom version. Not only is it cheaper than the SNES one, but it also has all of the blood us violence-loving Americans drool over, and is essentially the exact same game, other than the differences I've already mentioned. And the cutscenes are completely in Japanese, but honestly, who gives a shit about the narrative in a beat-em-up? I sure as hell don't. Check it out for yourself.